How's it going, everybody? Hope you're all having a fantastic day and you're all fired up and ready to go for Draconic's EBL Season 8 draft process. We have walked into Season 7 the rookie and walked out the champion. Now, it is our job to defend our championship, and we have just the team to do it. Before I go any further, I just want to go ahead and say a huge shout out to every single individual in the EBL in this season. I'm looking forward to the amazing battles that await for us and all of the memories and the moments that are going to rise up from it. But without further ado, everybody, let's get into this draft process. Here we are once again, everybody. EBL Elite Battle League Season 8. And welcome to Scotland Zygarde's draft process. Before we go any further, a huge shout out to Metamaxis and It's Really Timmy B for the warm welcome into the EBL last season, and I'm looking forward to some more amazing battles in future. That being said, one of these individuals we have yet to battle, so it'd be a really good opportunity to battle you at some point, Timmy, but we'll just need to wait and see what happens. Also, one final shout out to each and every single one of our team members here representing Season 7 Championship. We have Flygon, Zacian, Blaziken, Tinglu, Cyclizar, Blissey, Toxapex, Regieleki, and Hydrapo. Now, this whole new team that we have is going to have to live up to what our Season 7 Championship team has achieved. And with a brand new season, we have a brand new EBL logo as well. And a huge shout out to Metamaxis for designing this amazing logo, and Hydrapo making the front, which I think is appropriate considering how amazingly well Hydrapo did in the previous season. And here is everyone competing in Season 8 of the EBL, and there is a lot of amazing individuals out there. Some that I'm looking forward to rematching, and some that I'm really looking to battling for the very first time. I won't dive too much into the rules, but I will just very quickly go over them if this is your first time experiencing the EBL. The rules state that each trainer must draft a team of 9 Pokemon, and each trainer can choose 3 legendary Pokemon. Out of those 3 legendary Pokemon, only 2 are allowed to be brought per battle. The format is in a singles battle format, and no held items are allowed. All Pokemon must compete at least once within the very first 6 battles of the EBL. There are a few other rules, but I feel like these are the most important ones. And with a new season, it comes with some new rules as well. And the first new rule is that Shedtail is banned, which means Cyclizar would have a very, very tough time going into future formats. We also have a new rule regarding legendary Pokemon, where in the previous season, each trainer was only allowed to have 1 restricted legendary pick, and 1 small legendary, mythic, paradox, or pseudo, as well as 1 Generation 9 legendary, mythic, paradox, or pseudo. Now going into Season 8, each trainer is allowed to have 1 restricted legendary, and then 2 small legends, mythics, paradox, or pseudos. One of the big rule changes going into Season 8 is the fact that none of the legendary Pokemon are allowed to terastallize, which means we have to be very careful in our team picking, knowing that our legendary Pokemon are nerfed in some way. Lastly, in previous season, you were not allowed to trade any of your Pokemon. You were stuck with the Pokemon that you had, and you had to live with the consequences that followed. Now going into Season 8, each trainer is allowed up to 3 trades per team. This means that if there's any Pokemon that are not performing well at all, you can trade them much more earlier in the season so that you have a much more better and stronger team when you have your remaining battles and then make it to the bracket eliminations. And with the rules out of the way, we have our draft order, and as you can see, I am once again at the very bottom of the draft list. However, to be fair, I am the champion defending my crown, so it only makes sense that I am last. I have highlighted in orange our opponents in the first 5 battles. We have Newtbox representing Carolina Garchomps, who I guarantee will be looking for a bit of revenge after that Tinglu Sleep Talk Fisher. We also have Anxious Christian that represents Tidewater Toads, and Pokepidge representing Essex Espeons. We've never battled against these 2 before, and I'm looking forward to the battles against them, especially since Pokepidge is a former EBL champion. We also have a couple of rematches against Metamaxis, who was the Season 7 champion, and Sly Guy, who was our biggest rival going into Season 7. And if I'm going to be honest, I think we lucked out against Sly Guy because they deserve to be the Season 7 champion, not me. But we did have to be a bit lucky, a bit crafty with the moves we did, and that is why we are champion. But I will be keeping an eye on Sly Guy because I'm sure they will be looking for that revenge at some point. With the rules out of the way, the draft order decided, and all the shoutouts getting the praise they deserve, it is time to let the draft begin. Going into Season 8, I only had 2 game plans on my mind. I can either go out and have some fun with my personal favourite Pokemon of all time, or I can increase the difficulty by giving myself the Champions Challenge. With that being said, there is only one Pokemon that will decide our fate in the route that we go with, and that is Koraidon. And with the EBL Season 8 draft in full swing, we have a few first drafts in Landorus, Decidueye, Grimmsnarl, or Fezandipiti. Definitely some very interesting and very powerful choices here. And we now had the first big draft in Miraidon. This was easily a huge threat in the previous season and was very difficult to take down. But, you know, considering Miraidon was picked this early, surely Koraidon would have to be safe, right? Let's be honest, Koraidon didn't win the previous season, so who is gonna go out of their way to pick Koraidon this season? Oh, and just like that, Koraidon has decided our fate going into Season 8. This means that Draconic Season 8 will be taking the Champions Challenge. So you may be wondering what this Champions Challenge is, and it's a custom rule that I've implemented onto myself, and no one else in the EBL has to follow this rule. Basically, Draconic can only draft Pokemon that were not featured on Season 7 of the EBL. This includes Pokemon that were used by every other trainer/coach. In addition, any and all trades that are done this season must be for new Pokemon. This means that any Pokemon from the previous or current season cannot be traded onto our team. With the Champions Challenge settled, we continued the draft and seen even bigger name drops. We've seen Archaludon, Kingambit, Greninja, and Lugia. These are very powerful and very dangerous Pokemon that we need to be very careful about. But with strong Pokemon against us, we need to choose the very best, the most powerful Pokemon that is even going to take down even the strongest in the metagame. Which is why my first pick of the EBL Season 8 goes to Zygarde. Previously on the EBL. Hello, yes, is this Game Freak? Yes, hello, my name is Draconic. I would like to go ahead and report a problem with the recent Indigo Disc DLC that you dropped. Yes, I would like to report the problem that Zygarde is not available in this DLC. Oh, that's why. Oh, because Zygarde is the greatest legendary Pokemon created and you just didn't want to include it to give everybody a fair chance. Okay, no, that's truly understandable. As long as it makes it into Generation 10, I'll be more than happy. But if it doesn't, I'm very sorry, but I'm going to have to start looking for another game, alright? Okay, thank you for your time. Bye-bye now. God, Game Freak just need to get it right sometimes. Pokemon, Yes! 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 Let's go! Let's go! Legend Zygarde! We got it! We did it! Legend Zygarde, let's go! Yes! Oh my goodness. That sure escalated quickly. First of all, thank you, Game Freak. But I think it's about time that we get back on track with the EBL draft. Don't you agree, guys? So, let's get back on track now. Okay, so once again, Zygarde is not legal in Scarlet and Violet, as we established from the previous season, and Koraidon is also off the table completely. Surely Draconic has got to pick a super uber powerful Pokemon going into the first pick of this draft, right? Don't worry, because I have picked quite an amazing Pokemon, which brings us to our first pick. And who is going to be our very first Pokemon choice? None other than the Poison Monkey, Grafaiai. Okay, Many of you are going to be scratching your heads on this one, considering why you decided to pick a Pokemon like Grafaiai, and not something that's going to be super uber powerfully broken. But hear me out, because this Poison Monkey has got a lot of crazy shenanigans that we need to talk about. If you're wondering why Grafaiai is our first pick, it's mostly to do with the Prankster ability, which is one of the best in the entire game. In the last season, we used Cyclizar as a kind of scope out, pivot, and then just run away with its Shed Tail move, but this time, Grafaiai can do the very same thing with moves like Parting Shot, Baton Pass, or U-Turn, making this an incredibly annoying monkey to deal with. With our first draft pick out of the way, it's also a really good thing that we can get straight back in there and pick our next Pokemon for our team. Which is why I'm more than happy to welcome Arcanine onto Scotland Zygarde. The amazing thing about Arcanine is how much utility it's got going for it. Phenomenal abilities, great offensive moveset, and it can even run into a more defensive disruption set if we really want it to. And there will be some scenarios where Arcanine will be a very pesky Pokemon for our opponents to deal with. With our first two Pokemon selected, the drafts will resume for everybody else, and they will all go ahead and get their 2 picks for their team. And we've seen quite a lot of drafts. A lot of powerful Pokemon like Roaring Moon, Incineroar, Magearna, Gengar, Shenpao, Volcarona, Fluttermane, and Rhinoculus. However, as the drafts went on, I've realised that I had made a big mistake. Which is now why we have to talk about Legend Sniping. In the previous season, everybody had access to an incredibly powerful restricted legendary. Pokemon such as Dialga, Mewtwo, Zacian, Solgaleo, Lugia, Zekrom, Groudon, and the list just goes on and on and on. These Pokemon really defined the power of our teams. And the bad thing about it is that because of my Champions Challenge rule that I've applied onto myself, I'm not allowed to use many of the strong legendary Pokemon for our team, which means I'm going to have to rely on something else. And sadly, I am not allowed to use any of these fusion Pokemon such as Calyrex, Kyurem, and Solgaleo. I can use their base forms if I really want to, but they are not that good at all. And at the same time, we're not allowed to terrestrialize any of our legendary Pokemon, which means that we have to be very careful about the Pokemon that we draft. So on one hand, we're not allowed to use restricted Pokemon that we used in the previous season, and a lot of them are very powerful, like Koraidon, Miraidon, Zacian, and on the other side of the spectrum, we're not allowed to use any of the fusion forms, and to be fair, as much as I would like to use them, it's probably best that they remain banned, because some of them can get really out of hand. So surely, there's gotta be some hidden gems among the trash, right? Surely there's got to be one powerful Pokemon that's going to set an example and be completely powerful and metagame defining. Surely there's got to be something, right? Oh, don't worry. We got legendary Pokemon to choose, but spoiler alert, they're pretty, what's the word? Bad. Well, here they are. All of our restricted legendary options for our team. And just by looking at them, I really just want to quit. All of these Pokemon are good in their own way, but some of them are not even worth defending. How are we even going to go ahead and explain this to you all? Let's start off with the easy ones. Lunala has a 4x weakness to Dark and Ghost, while Ho-Oh has a 4x weakness to Rock. Lunala can easily lose to a move like Sucker Punch, while Ho-Oh is at the mercy of Stealth Rocks. Yeah, they may get great abilities, but that really just doesn't justify our choice. Necrozma is also a Pokemon that we can use, but to be fair, you're only going to use a Necrozma if it's in one of its fusion forms, which, as we mentioned earlier, is banned in this format. Zamazenta may be dominating the VGC competitive format at the moment, but when you're going up against a Ghost type, those Iron Defense body presses are not going to be hitting any Ghost types, that's for sure. So if our opponent can predict a body press from Zamazenta, they can adjust their team accordingly, and they can just defend against Zamazenta very easily. I hear Will-O-Wisp is also strong against it. Great! So that only leaves 2 options. We have Kyurem and Reshiram, and looking at the stats on both of these, they're actually not that terrible. Kyurem on one hand can pivot into either a physical or a special attacker, and Reshiram has incredibly strong special attack stat right there. However, I think the biggest thing to take away from these two is that Kyurem's typing of Dragon and Ice is not very good on the offensive side of things. If we come across a Steel type, Kyurem cannot do anything. On the other side, Reshiram is a Fire Dragon type, and it is an incredible type combination. This high special attack, that type combination, makes it all the more reason to pick Reshiram. With all of that being said, what if I told you there was a much better pick than Reshiram? Going into Season 8, I think it's probably appropriate that we use a restricted legendary from Generation 8. Let me introduce you to the legendary Pokemon that everybody forgotten about, Eternatus. I have no idea why no one has selected Eternatus yet. It's got phenomenal speed, phenomenal special attack, and it's got a large amount of hit points if you want to run it really bulky as well. Paired with a phenomenal moveset, and I just think Eternatus is so good. It can cover just about all of its weaknesses, and I think this is going to be one incredibly dangerous Pokemon and very unpredictable for our opponents to deal with. As I mentioned with Eternatus, our entire team is completely based on unpredictability. We've already had the Grafaiai, the Arcanine, and the Eternatus, which is going to make our opponents question what our game plan is going to be going into every single battle. However, with my next pick, I wanted to make sure that Eternatus had a nice, safe battle. If it felt threatened by any of its weaknesses, we can have the best ideal coverage for it. That being said, I'm also very happy to include Enamorus as our second legendary choice going into our season. It has a fantastic typing of Fairy and Flying, which is phenomenal for Eternatus to avoid taking damage from other dragons or even ground types. It has a lot of fantastic moves, and it can fulfill the role of a special attack and sweeper. And very interestingly enough, it can increase its own attack and defenses with a move called Superpower paired with the Contrary ability. And this is one Pokemon that I'm very looking forward to using on this team. With our team at the moment, I think now is a good time to talk about battle control. We want to make sure that we are in control of the battle from the very beginning all the way to the very end. We also need to take into consideration as to what happens if our opponent takes control. We need to find some way of re-establishing control so that we can pull off the victory. While analysing the best Pokemon to take control of the battles from start to end, I needed to do a lot of detective work, which is why I have decided to turn to Detective Pikachu.
That's a twist. That's very twisty.
Yes, that's right. We have turned to the greatest detective, and who can also defeat a Mewtwo, likes coffee just like myself, and is voiced by Ryan Reynolds, Deadpool. What is there? You guys really think I was going to pick Pikachu for this? Alright, Detective Pikachu, why don't you go ahead and shed your disguise? That's right, we are bringing Mimikyu into our team, which has gotten a lot of amazing things going for it. Disguise is basically Focus Sash, which is a phenomenal ability. We can control the pace of the battle with a move like Trick Room. We can take control of Swords Dance Shadow Snake, and it has got an incredibly deadly moveset, and it's got some sweeper potential as well, and it's definitely one Pokemon that I'm looking forward to trying. With Mimikyu established as our Pokemon to retake control of our battles if we end up losing that control, it's probably best that I start talking about the best Pokemon that's going to lead the battle from start all the way to the end, and a Pokemon like Araquanid. Araquanid is a very interesting Pokemon. Well, first of all, it's very bulky on the special defense side, just like our Blissey, but not like our Blissey. It also gets access to Sticky Web, and there's a lot of fantastic abilities that it's gotten, and a very, very interesting moveset. We can run this to be defensive, or we can run it to be offensively, and it is definitely one big scary spider. I just hope our opponents don't quite have arachnophobia. Now would be a good time to talk about filling the gaps of our team. Yeah, we have a lot of strengths, but we also need to go ahead and cover our weaknesses. And yeah, we have some great bulky Pokemon and Pokemon that can go ahead and take control of the battle, but we don't really have too much in the ways of firepower outside of our legendary Eternatus and Dynamoris. With that being said, I'm more than happy to Alright, where is it? Come on, you little... What the? Get back here, you! Get back here! Alright, I got you, little rascal! So you're the one responsible for my blue screens of death on my computer. Ladies and gentlemen, I introduce to you Porygon Z, responsible for the blue screens of death. But to the EBL standards, Porygon is a fantastic sweeper. It's got fantastic abilities, a wide variety of moves, and it can fully abuse the power of terrestrialization. This is one computer virus, blue screen of death, that I cannot wait to share with everyone in the EBL. With that being said, everybody, a moment, if you will. 2024 has not been a fantastic year for me. It's actually been very, very depressing, very heartbreaking. The amount of stress and depression that I've had to go throughout this entire year has not been too kind for me at all. And I really do wish that something good is going to happen. Wish. That's it! I got it! There is no greater wish Pokemon than Jirachi, who is capable of fulfilling our wishes. And paired with the Serene Grace ability, Jirachi is one of the most dangerous Pokemon that you will ever see. A phenomenal type combination of Steel and Psychic, paired with some of the most abusively broken moves in the game combined with Serene Grace, like Iron Head for flinching, Fire Punch for an increased chance of flinch, or even Ice Punch for an increased chance of freezing. And you got access to Cosmic Power for defense increase, Wish to heal itself or any of our team members. This is one very deadly Pokemon, and I really do wish that we can retain our title with Jirachi. And as the draft comes to an end, everybody is going out of their way to select the most perfect Pokemon to round out their team. Yes, we do have the options to trade our Pokemon at some point during the league itself, but selecting our last Pokemon to fulfill those key roles is going to be important. Which only makes sense that we fulfill the role of our team as well. So let me go ahead and introduce to you the last Pokemon to round out our team. And our last Pokemon is Hippowdon. Now, a little bit of a secret, I'm already starting to regret bringing in Hippowdon, but I do want to go ahead and give it a chance before I trade it away for something else. But that being said, Hippowdon is actually a very powerful Pokemon on the defensive side. It can set up Sandstorm to do additional tick damage. It's got access to Slack Off and Stockpile to keep itself bulky and defensive and healthy. And it's got a lot of very good physical offensive in a move like Earthquake. And Stealth Rock is a good factor as well. And this is one Hungry Hippo that I really cannot wait to start using. And there you have it, everybody. That was our draft process and the team that is representing Scotland Zygarde to defend our championship going into Season 8. A lot of the Pokemon I'm very happy to include in the team, and I cannot wait to use each and every single one of them. And if there's any of these Pokemon that are underperforming, we have the option to trade them away for something new. So early testing in the early battles is going to be very, very important, but we'll just need to wait and see how it goes. In the meantime, thank you all so very much for watching, and to all of my fellow EBL competitors out there, good luck. And the champion is here, and the champion is looking forward to defending their title. I won't make it easy for you, and I want you to beat me. I want everybody to beat me. I encourage each and every single person that I battle to beat me. But I ain't gonna make it freaking easy on you, so you better bring your A game. And like I said already, I'm looking forward to the fun battles. They should be a hell of a lot of fun. And to everybody else, I really do hope that you enjoy the rest of the battles that are coming up in the league. So let's go ahead, keep our fire burning, and we'll take it home with the firepower of a Draco Meteor. Thanks everybody, stay safe, stay awesome, stay healthy, physically and mentally, and I will see you, not hitting the mic guard, sorry about that, but I will still rolling with it, and I shall see you in the next one. Thanks everybody, take care, and bye for now. Let's do this.